Hey everyone, Ryan Young, KAATARO Jiu Jitsu. I hope you're doing well. So I want to do a video on why people quit Jiu Jitsu. As many of you know, I did several videos on this topic, and it's still a pretty hot topic because Jiu Jitsu is one of those things that so many people quit, and for various reasons. So I have one commenter on a video that I did on this. His name is BobTX70X. People quit because Americans want instant gratification for everything. We change houses, jobs, wives or husbands, cars, universities, etc. We're lazy, whiny, and we don't want to work hard for anything that counts. We need belts and stripes to keep us coming. There are only two important belts, white and black. He's actually right there. The two most important belts are the white belt and the black belt. And the reason is because the white belt is what you buy to get started. Every other belt comes from perseverance and hard work. And the black belt is simply the culmination of years and years and years of effort, toil, injuries, anxiety, dismay, discouragement, encouragement. All that the black belt shows is that you're being validated by your professor, master, whatever, grandmaster. You're being validated for all the efforts you put in over the years, all the trials, tribulations, all those cliches. And every other belt after that, or before that, is, I wouldn't say it's meaningless because it isn't. Belts are not to show necessarily how good you are, although it does do that. But what the belts really do is it just shows, it's just a marker on a path, how far you made it. And if people thought of it in those terms, then it would be more objective and understandable as to how and why you get your belt. For instance, if you get a black belt by walking 10 miles, then why would you get upset if you only walked 2? Right? A lot of people, and let's say you, along the way, stopped to smell the flowers, stopped to, observe animals that are along the way, meaning you let yourself get distracted from your goal of getting there. Well, that's good and bad. Bad because you're being distracted, meaning, ooh, look at that move today. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, did you see that on YouTube? Did you see this guy doing that? Right? Those are distractions that take you off your path of where you want to go, which is your next mile marker, so to speak. And then you think, well, instead of going straight to your path, which is boom, 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 you're doing this. Da, 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 da. You're traveling a lot more. You're spending more time training, for instance. But your training is without a purpose, without an aim, without a conclusion at the end of the session you're looking to obtain. You just go in and roll. That's why I said so many times, rolling doesn't really help you. Training does. There's a difference. So what? So you're rolling hard and you're getting up a good sweat and your body is tired and you feel good after that. But did you come out being able to choke better? Did you come out being able to pass a guard better? Maybe, maybe not. However, if you trained passing guard today and all you did was you worked on one way to pass guard and you did it 100 times, I can guarantee that if you were trying to do it correctly, you got better. If you were doing it wrong going into it and you just did it 100 times more wrong, then you obviously didn't get better. In fact, you might have gotten worse because you just simply reinforced the wrong way to do something, right? So that's where it's bad. But if you're, where you just, you're letting yourself meander off the path. But if you go in there for a purpose, like I just said, to pass a guard, okay, you want to make sure you do it right. You're going to pass it 100 times and just do it. 100 times. Try to do it correctly. You're going to fail at maybe, attempt 3 and 5 and 7, but you're going to get it right, and you're slowly going to figure out what you need to do to make sure you keep doing it right. And in that way, and you're just training, for instance, right? You get together with a buddy, hey, let's roll. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to make him play guard, not by telling him, hey, just play guard on me. You're going to deliberately put yourself in a situation where you're having to pass his guard, and you're just going to have to figure that puzzle out and just do it and pass it over and over. So if you do it in that way, you will get down the mile markers. You'll hit the mile markers a lot sooner. Mile markers are just simply points of recognition, either it be a belt or a stripe on a belt. And when you get to that, let's say that 10-mile mark, that's when your professor goes, hey, you hit the 10-mile mark, you basically completed this part of the journey. And he gives you your black belt. And once you get your black belt, then you start to realize, wait a minute now. Now any progress after this, it's just by time? Yeah, basically, right? So this is where you look back. You hit your 10-mile mark and you come on back. You've already gone through that 10-mile journey, but now you start walking back to the beginning. Now, you're not the same person at the beginning that you were when you were at the beginning. But what you're doing there is you're now saying, hey, everyone, come on over, right? How about you step onto this part, on the very beginning to start a journey, and I'll be with you, and I'll take you along the way to your 10-mile mark, if you can make it. So people join up with you. They say, yes, take me on that route. So you start showing them the basics. And with these basics, you start taking them along their journey. Well, in the first mile, right, let's say 2 miles, that's to get the blue belt, a lot of people will jump off. They'll go, this is not for me. This walk's a little too difficult. Or, man, this walk just takes so much out of me. Or, for me to come and walk with you, I have to walk kind of a long time. And, after 30 minutes, I'm done, right? So you're going to have to start filtering people out. So you might have 100 people at the start line with you to walk. And after the first mile, you might only have 30, right? Which means that 7 out of 10 dropped out, which is okay. So now you're still going to go back to 0, look for more people, and start walking along the way. In the meantime, you're going to run back to mile 1 to help the people who just got, let's say, a blue belt, and you're going to help them get to mile 2, all at the same time running back to the start and bringing those people, those new 100 people, up to the mile 1 mark. And you're going to have people at various points on the journey. And you as the instructor will be going back and forth between them all. Now here's where a lot of instructors have a problem. It's not really a problem, it's just what makes their time less well spent. They get to a student who's at maybe mile marker 5, and they start showing them stuff that it's really not with the goal of getting them further on. In fact, you start showing them some distractions at mile 5 and saying, hey, look over there, right? Look right there, right? You got a little pond, you got a little spout, water spout. Hey, check that out, instead of just walking like I am right now. Right? I'm trying to get to about a mile for me, this morning. And if I stop, yes, I will eventually do it, but it'll take me longer. And do I want it to take longer? Well, I've got kind of a busy day today. So while I'm walking, I'm multitasking, I'm spending time with you. And I'm kind of going over some little bits of advice that I think will help you. And that's what this whole channel is all about, right? So I'm trying to help you get to the point where you can go as far as you can possibly go. Not all of us can make it to that 10-mile mark, i.e. the black belt. And that's okay. You have to be okay with it. What a lot of people do, I think, as a disservice is they go and give out mile markers to people who are still at one of the junior mile markers, right? I've seen, unfortunately, a lot of black belts who have using the example I've been using this particular video, you know, they're given the 10-mile marker, and that means they're a black belt. But they didn't learn everything along the way. In fact, they got picked up somewhere and driven off, maybe from mile marker 6 over to mile marker 8 or mile marker 9. And being that they missed everything from the point they were picked up to the point they were put down, they don't know. At any rate, the instructor will go, okay, well, it's just 1 more mile to the 10-mile mark, you know, 1 or 2 more. Now, just go. And then the guy goes, all right. And he goes and he gets there. So now he gets his 10-mile mark, his black belt, but he's missing a lot of stuff that every purple belt knows, right? Or that every purple belt spent their time doing and digesting. You know, they learned the path, you know, at the mile markers that are purple belt. And they digested all the information here, whereas somebody else was just picked up and taken further down and missed everything along the way. And they're given a black belt. And what's an example of that? Well, once I went to a Rickson Gracie seminar, this is several years ago, I want to say it was 2018, and Rickson was simply doing a headlock on the ground. So let's say you get somebody in a headlock in a fight, and you just yank his head down and you end up putting him on the ground and you end up laying on him with a headlock. Kind of looks like a KAATARO or a scarf hold, I don't know. A KAATARO, but without the arm in there. So he was teaching us how to get out, and it's a very basic concept. You know, our guys learn this at white belt. Well, this is a black belt asking me at the seminar, hey Ryan, how do I do that now? So I go, okay, well, let's step back. So I'm stepping back to mile marker 1 area, right? I'm saying, all right, let's go back to the KAATARO escape, and let's have you escape out of that. And he goes, what? I go, so thinking, okay, you know, that's a judo term. You know, a lot of people don't know them. So I go, here, let me get you in this position. So I got him in what's called a KAATARO. And I said, all right, remember this escape. Now go. He goes, I never learned it. I'm like, what are you talking about? You never learned it. This is like basic Gracie Jiu Jitsu. Yeah, never learned it. Damn. So now I have to go and fill in his mile marker 1 information, stuff that he should have learned. But, you know, I guarantee you he learned how to play open guard, right? But a simple self-defense concept, which is Gracie Jiu Jitsu, right? And when people say all Jiu Jitsu is the same, it is not. And the reason why it is not is because a lot of Jiu Jitsu that people learn today is only a portion of the art. You're not learning the whole art. And at the same time, you're learning other stuff. Like a lot of the sport concepts are very detailed. They're very well thought out, but they're on completely different paths. You know, at a certain mile marker, you might have distracted off, you know, and then headed west for 10 miles, right? Spent all that time doing that training, and it doesn't help you in the path that you originally went on, right? So when people come to me, prospects, people who are looking to start, I always ask, I go, what are you looking for? Because I want to make sure that the path that I'm going to take you on is the path you want to go on to. Because if it's not the path that you want to go on to, then I'm going to lose you as a student. So if that's the case, then how about I point you in a direction where the path is what you're looking for, right? As much as I want new members and new students, I also want to make sure that I'm doing right by my student, and that I don't want to just tell them, yes, we can do that. They sign up and they go, Ryan, you lied to me. You don't do that, right? You're not going to teach me all the sport concepts that I was looking to learn, right? So, and that's what a lot of sport schools will do to their members. They'll say, yes, this is jiu-jitsu, it's all jiu-jitsu, and yes, this is self-defense. Jiu-jitsu is a martial art. And when it turns out that it's not, then I'll give you an example. So I was watching a YouTube short, I think it was, or an Instagram reel. I don't know what it was, but it was a black belt, and he was in like an open guard, and he was going up against somebody who didn't know jiu-jitsu. And the guy, the amateur, not the amateur professional, but you know, the non-practitioner was standing in his guard, and he just, two hands, I can't do it because I'm holding the camera, up and down, bang, and hit him in the head, bang, and hit him in the head from inside the guard, would just drop and hit him in the head. And the black belt is covering up while he's getting hit, right, with an open guard. And with his open guard, he wasn't anchoring his foot on the opponent's hip. He wasn't just giving him a straight kick, you know, kick in the gut or something. He was just taking it. And finally, after about 3 or 4 hits that the guy did on him, finally he was able to lock his leg up. And then I think he took his back. I'm not sure anymore. But he took some damage. He took some hits now. Maybe not damage, but he took hits. And why do you want to take hits? Because even if you block a hit, in that situation, he shouldn't have been hit in the first place. You know, a simple kick to the chest would have stopped it right there. And then he could have gotten up. Unless he, you know, but he was playing guard, which is what all the sport guys do. Sport guys love to play guard, which is not a good position to be in if you're in a fight. It's a very bad position. Now, does it mean that if you're in guard that you cannot fight? Absolutely not. If you are, you can. But in a fight, why would you spot your opponent a head start? Which is basically what you're doing, right? You're saying, all right, we're going to race for 100 meters. I'll give you a 20-meter head start. Why, right? Well, when you teach people in that way, and sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to get home. When you teach people in that way, they end up doing things wrong. And when they do things wrong, they innately know something is not right, especially if they go and train with a better trained friend of theirs at a different academy, and they can't seem to get anything right. So I'll give you an example. One of our members, when he's one of our junior instructors now, when he was 9 months in, he went to a family outing in another town, and his cousin, who he has always been competitive with growing up, his cousin was training jiu-jitsu, and he was a 4-stripe blue belt. And one of the uncles, the instigator, goes and tells them, hey, you both do jiu-jitsu now, huh? He goes, well, you know, why don't you guys train? Let's see how good you guys are. So our student said, yeah, he trains at KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu. And his cousin goes, who? Where? And he goes, yeah, it's a studio in Austin that I train out of. And who's your instructor? He goes, Ken De Silva, who's one of our black belts. But at the time, Ken was probably deep in the purple belt, right? So he was a senior purple belt. You know, he was the one that opened up the academy for us, and he was teaching everybody there. So he's teaching this particular gentleman. His cousin, who had been training for 4 or 5 years, 4-stripe blue, basically mocks his cousin, our student. And so they meet the next morning. They go and train, and the cousin tells him, how do you want to do this? And our student goes, I don't know, standing on the ground, you call. So the guy goes, okay, let's just go on the ground. All right. So they're starting on the ground, and what does the cousin do? Pulls guard on him. Okay, so our student passes the guard, gets to cross-side 1, and holds it there, and his cousin could not get out. Didn't know how to get out, didn't understand the mechanics of getting out of cross-side in general. So he did a far side armbar and took his arm. And they went again, and the cousin's like, oh, okay, this is how it's going to be, right? As if to say, I was going easy, but now I'm going to show you, cousin, you know, what's what. So this time he gets serious, and what happens? Takes his arm again. Well, cousin gets upset. They stop training. And at another subsequent family outing, talks to the cousin. Cousin says, yeah, I ended up getting my purple belt, but it didn't feel right, so I quit. Right? Because as a 4-stripe blue, he got torched by his cousin, who was 9 months in, but knew the basics, right? He had learned the Kama Jiu Jitsu ladder. He wasn't completely through the ladder. He was almost through. Actually, he might have been through it already in 9 months. Been through the ladder, but not quite ready for his blue belt. So still a white belt. And, you know, the cousin can't really judge on that aspect because he knows that our student was only training for 9 months. Even though he's a 4-stripe blue and got torched, he can't go and justify and say, wait a minute, you should be a 4-stripe blue belt, if not a purple belt. Well, not after 9 months. I mean, there are people that are extraordinary, but, you know, when you run on that path through your mile markers, you miss a lot, right? Things, you don't see them. If you walk and you check it out, you slowly keep a nice steady pace, meaning your improvement, then you will get better. And when you get better, you will not quit, right? You're heading down these mile markers. You see them. You can focus on them. But you know the goal is not to rush through them. It's to learn along the way, right? Stay on the path. Look left, look right. Just kind of check things out. Hey, I like that, right? And just keep walking. But don't stop, right? And that means just showing up. But how encouraged are you going to be if you're standing in one spot right here, okay? And your instructor keeps distracting you this way and then this way, right? Each way, and you're going, wait a minute, that path is right there. And the instructor is distracting you, saying, oh, I saw this on YouTube, let's do this today. Or, you know, so-and-so just did something on BJJ Fanatics, let's check it out, right? But it's not taking you on that path that you want to go to. So you say to yourself, wait a minute, I'm not getting to these mile markers, meaning I'm not getting promoted, and I don't know why. Well, you're still brand new in it, so you don't know you're supposed to head in this path, but instead you're going this way. So that's one reason why people quit. It's just because they don't get it, and they get jaded. You know, why am I here? I'm just paying my money, and my instructor, all he wants to do is take my money. He doesn't want to, either doesn't want to teach me or doesn't want me to get better. Which is not true. I think most instructors really do have doing the right thing at heart. They don't want to steal your money, right? They just want to train, they want to teach somebody, but they don't know how to teach. Or they were never taught correctly to begin with, and their knowledge is not that good, right? Remember that person I mentioned earlier at the seminar who couldn't even get out of a case of gatame, who had no clue what it was, and then subsequently couldn't get out of the headlock. Well, imagine if he opens a school and now he's teaching you. Is he teaching you how to do the self-defense? No. But when you went in there, you said, hey, I want to learn this jiu-jitsu because I hear it's the best version of self-defense that I can take. He's like, absolutely. Well, but look at this guy. You get him in a headlock, he's stuck in his headlock, and you start drilling him in the face, and he has no idea what to do. Is he really doing self-defense? No, right? In a sport, that'll never happen. You'll never get punched in the face. Which is why sport jiu-jitsu is not the same as traditional Gracie jiu-jitsu, as we call it, right? So anyway, if you're on the verge of quitting, if you feel like, you know, I'm not getting where I want, ask yourself some questions. Am I learning a curriculum? Am I getting distracted along the way? Is most of my class time, 45 minutes of a 60-minute class, just spent rolling, right? If that's true, maybe you should look for something else, right? Or, you know, if it's, my school does the sports stuff, but I really did this because I've been getting hassled and I want to know how to defend myself, right? Or the other way around. Let's say I want to do sports, I want to do competition, but my school is self-defense only and they don't do competition, right? So if you can answer those types of questions, that'll tell you what you need to do, whether you should stay or whether you should go. And as much as I want all our students to stay, I want them to stay as long as I earn their business. If what I'm providing as a service is no longer applicable to them, then, you know, I have to expect they're going to leave. So anyway, that's all I got for you. I hope that this was helpful to you. And if it was, please go and share it, right? It helps the channel if you like, you subscribe, and you share. And by you doing that, I'll do more content because people want to see it. But if on my channel analytics I don't see any growth, then You know, I'll put it out if I feel I need to for some students of mine, but, you know, but I'm doing it just for them because, you know, in this case, the channel isn't growing. But if the channel grows, then I have to do more of these. So if you like them, you know, give us the reason to do them, right? Either that or just tell me, Ryan, I'd love to watch more, but your topics are really not applicable. And just put in the comment what you would like me to do, right? This particular video is as a result of a comment, right? And I look for a lot of comments, not really just to answer, you know, I try to answer as many as I can, but really what I'm looking for is I'm looking for stuff that you guys want for us to address. You can visit us online at KAATARO and just simply hit the online link. And you can see all our curriculum, see our videos that go with it. And, you know, the video library is expanding every month. And you can also come visit us at our academies. We have 2 of them. One in Laguna Hills, California. That's Kama Jiu Jitsu Irvine. And we have one in Dallas, Fort Worth, which is Kama Jiu Jitsu Flower Mound. So we'd love to have you. That's all I got for you. Take care. Happy training. Bye now.